celebrates Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav and rededicate ourselves to the Amrit Kal. We talk about the stories of India and the progress India has made and success stories of Indians. In the success of India, there is great contribution of foreigners who have made India their home. Namaskar. In this episode of India is the World, we have the pleasure of presenting Saskia Rao-de Haas, originally from the Netherlands, cellist, composer and educationist. Saskia, it's a pleasure to have you on this episode. Do tell us about Netherlands, and was it that you lived around music?
Definitely. My whole family is very musical. My grandfather played the cello, my parents played the piano, cousins, violin, aunts, uncles, sisters, everyone played music, Western classical music that is.
So then how did you connect to the Indian classical music?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Music, I think in a way it chooses you, because music takes a lot of dedication, a lot of time to learn. And obviously when you're born in the Dutch countryside, Indian classical music does not seem the most logical choice. When I was doing my professional course to become a cellist, I got one class with Indian classical music. I liked it so much that I knew I wanted to learn more about it. So I did some research and listened a lot and found out that at the Conservatory of Rotterdam they also teach Indian classical music. And my guru, Pandit Shubhendra Rao, was the artistic head at the conservatory. So I went there and it slowly pulled me in more and more into the music. I got a beautiful opportunity to come to India in '94 to study under Dr. Sumati Muttarkar. An interesting little story. Of course, my first class of Indian music, I was seated on a chair, as is custom for a Western cellist, and my Guruji was sitting on the floor. Now, it doesn't take a scientist or anyone to understand that that's not the right equation to learn at all. So I made sure even the very next class I could sit on the floor and in a way be ready for the true learning of the music.
So you had a very, I should say, very interesting beginning, in the sense that you were influenced by Panditji Hariprasad Chaurasia and your Guruji in Delhi. But one question which comes to my mind is that the cello in the Indian classical music somehow doesn't seem to fit. So how did you make that fit?
Actually, it's a perfect fit. And that were not my words, but even Rabindranath Tagore wrote to his grandson in, I think it was 1939, and he wrote, "I'm not too excited about you learning the violin. Why don't you learn the cello?"
Oh my God.
I feel that is much more suitable to our music. So it just took a few more years for someone to actually do that.
So you came in 1994 and we are now in 2022. It has been a long journey. So what made you decide to stay on? I know you married an Indian, very famous Sitarist Shubhendra Rao, but that's only part of the story. What brought you back to India?
Absolutely. I always say I first fell in love with the music and then with the musician. So we stayed back here because indeed we could also have settled down anywhere else, get a good position at the university. The issue with that is we both perform Indian classical music. and to live the art, that you can't really touch it. What is the feeling in the air in India? You have to live here. To live the music, we felt we are much better off here.
Is there a yearning in the young people to learn more music? Do you feel that?
I feel there are different things happening at the same time. Indian classical music has been very, very successful to find a worldwide audience. That is why these great masters also could move to different countries and create music schools and become the artistic director of a conservatory, like my teacher, and really create a setting for Indian music that it has become a global art form. Anywhere we go, there's interest. However, in India, how many young people have access to learning this music? And I mean true access, with resources, with training for teachers, how to teach this music to a generation that has grown up in this time and age. So the resources for that, the books, teacher training, lesson plans, how to professionalize it, that is what we have done with Sangeet for All. And now I'm happy to say we've reached over 50,000 children in India, over 200 teachers we have trained, and now even we're ready to bring it to the US and other places, because it works. Children do love learning Indian classical music. The benefits of music learning from a young age are very, very well established on the entire development of a child, emotional, fine motor skills, in every single sense there's a lot of benefit. And I feel Indian classical music has a few even more points to score over other styles, because it also connects with a kind of mindfulness state, a meditative state of being. And at this time, with so many mental health issues that happen, Indian classical music, it has become extremely relevant.
So you mentioned about the curriculum development that you have done, and that is picking up. But have you also written about music?
I have actually. As a part of the curriculum, I've written 8 different books for children about music. You get the book, the latest is Shastra, a concise history of Indian music from 5,000 years ago to today, with beautiful illustrations as well. And you get it on our website, sangeetforall.com.
We have seen, Saskia, the use of the violin in Indian classical music concerts. And in fact, if I remember correctly, V.G. Jog was a classical violinist, and he was very famous not only in India but worldwide. After you, or along with you, are there other people who are taking to the cello and using it as a classical instrument?
Yes, there are a few from both the West as well as my own students in India. So that is always beautiful to see. The cello is a perfect vehicle for this music because it's so close to the human voice. That's the one thing I always get to hear after concerts. I thought someone was singing in the beginning because it has that quality, that tonal quality. And where in Indian classical music we always try to also be as close as possible to a human voice. That is a beautiful thing. So the cello has a lot to say within this music.
Is a great musician born, or he or she can train to be a great musician?
That's a very different question. I think people often confuse the two. One is to be a great musician, a performing artist, but the other part is to benefit from music education. A great artist is indeed born, but then what Einstein said, 99 perspiration and 1% inspiration, is very, very true. You need to work really hard at your craft as well.
Saskia, your life is very inspiring. You know, people see you as a Western classical cellist who came to India and then made India her home, made India her life. You married an Indian. Tell me something. When you live in India, how do you adapt to Indian way of life?
It's so many different things that make this my home. Of course, the art, the culture, the food, not unimportant. We love living in India. However, many more of the struggles we might face here as well. There is so much beauty in this country as well. The social fiber, everything is really beautiful as well. And of course, I mean, the art forms are really, really, really special. That's what a journalist once described me, Indian by art.
Did the cello need any adjustment or any innovation that you had to do?
I have made a lot of changes to the instrument, so much so that it's a new instrument, which I have named the Indian cello.
Uh-huh.
It has 5 playing strings, 10 resonating strings, and it's really a very unique sound. So that for me was very important. And now indeed I've been very fortunate to perform at those venues where otherwise Western artists would not have been able or to perform. So the instrument has been a journey. At the same time, I made my journey into changing the playing style of the instrument. I also changed the instruments. There were 5 different prototypes, and finally this instrument is something I'm very, very happy with.
Tell us something about some of your memorable concerts.
I have performed a lot as a soloist of Indian classical music. So it's not like a violin or sarangi where we accompany in the Mahar style of playing. It's a solo instrument. Then also I play Jugalbandi together with Shubhendra Rao.
Yes.
And I've performed, I've had a really unique chances also to perform and accompany there Pandit Jasraj, Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia on different occasions. Yeah, I could mention the great halls, Kennedy Center or Sydney Opera House, but one really memorable performance comes to mind, which was in Mahar, the place where Ravi Shankar and Ali Akbar Khan learned from their guru,
Yes.
Baba Alauddin Khan.
Yes.
A small town and in Madhya Pradesh, and they organize a festival once a year, the Mahar Festival. So Shubhendra and I were playing our Jugalbandi there, and then an old man from that part with his little white cap and his white pajamas, loose pajamas, and he came and he said, "Who said that Saraswati is only Indian?" And to me, that meant probably more than any review of the New York Times could have ever done, because he had heard everyone. And he was open to accept this Dutch lady with a new instrument in his sacred music.
So this is the story of Saskia the Haas, originally from Amsterdam, who has made India her love, her life and her world.